Welcome back to Dramatic Evaluation. Please hook me up and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the movie The Order. I watched it on Hulu. I didn't realize until like halfway through this movie's based on a true story, and it was pretty solid. So let's get right into it. So overall, this movie was pretty good. It had good cinematography, good direction. The score was pretty good. A little sparse with the music, but not as quite as much music as I'd like in a movie. But you know, it's that type of movie that's a little more serious, and they don't have too much music in it. But overall, what was in there was pretty good. The main actors are Jude Law, Journey Smollett, and this kid Ty Sheridan, who's in Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which was pretty funny, pretty good movie. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And Nicholas Hoult. So Nicholas Hoult, I've seen in a couple things already this year. Juror number 2, which I talked about a little bit in a previous video of what I've been watching recently. And Nosferatu, which I mentioned sucks. Don't watch that because it's straight trash. And it's a boring, weak sauce, uneventful horror movie that I'll continue to say that it sucks because it did. But basically, Jude Law is like I honestly like couldn't quite tell, but it like throughout the whole movie, but I think he's an FBI agent or like something to that effect. Ty Sheridan is kind of this young cop in the town where this stuff's going down. Jude Law kind of is from out of town and goes there kind of trying to catch these guys or whatever. And Journey Smollett is like a contact, like a person that he knows already in the pretty sure she's in the FBI. And so he kind of is consulting her, and she's kind of helping, I think, like at one point lead the charge with trying to find this group. So Nicholas Hoult is a part of a Nazi group, like neo-Nazis. And like I said, this was based on a true story. So it was this group of people, neo-Nazis, that lived in this kind of like compound like area together. And there was this book, I think it was a fictional book that detailed a crazy radical group that did all these different crimes, like robbing banks and stuff, bombing buildings in the town. And they kind of had it laid out in like 6 steps. The first few steps, they start enacting these things. So like these guys are like robbing banks and like doing these crazy robberies, starting to bomb buildings like theaters and stuff. And the kid, Ty Sheridan, gets a copy of that book because as they're kind of like looking around, looking into these crimes, one of the guys, someone gives him the book, and he checks it out, and he kind of puts 2 and 2 together. He's like, these guys are like following the steps in this book, and the last couple steps in the book that they hadn't gotten to yet are like assassinations and just large scale like revolution and just craziness. So obviously they put 2 and 2 together, and obviously they want to stop these guys and put an end to this before they escalate to that level. So Nicholas Hoult is like the leader of this group, kind of wanting to lead a revolution and do a bunch of crazy stuff. He's sort of like rising, overstepping even the actual like higher up leaders of their like Nazi organization, and kind of just taking over and taking the reins and enacting all this crazy stuff like on his own with his kind of crew and army that he's got with him. At one point they go to the Nazi like compound that they have, and it's like when you're first like seeing more and more of them, because first you just see the small group of guys that are like robbing the bank and stuff, and then you kind of see more and more. Like it is nothing like I don't know, I guess a whole lot about Nazis or neo-Nazi groups, but stuff that I've seen in movies, like I think the first thing that comes to mind is American History X. There's a very like distinct look, like they're called skinheads for a reason. They're like typically like bald skinhead look, tattoos, like a beard or a goatee. Like they have a distinct look, like the stereotypical look. No, none of them have that in this movie. Like at least in the beginning, like you start to see a few more once they start to show a bigger range of the overall organization. But in the beginning, it's like all these dudes with like scruffy hair and mustache, and like you're just like, this doesn't look at all like what I've seen of like neo-Nazi stuff. There's even some guys with like dark skin where you're like, they're kind of like ethnically ambiguous. Don't cancel me. I don't know what you can and can't say about that, but like they just, the whole thing is like with the neo-Nazi stuff is like the Aryan race and the Caucasian members and all that stuff. So like having guys, they even like talk about it, and one of the guys, he says he's Spanish, his last name's Torres, and they're like Torres, like, are you Mexican? And he's like, no, like Spanish, pure European. So again, I don't know a whole lot about Nazi stuff, but apparently I don't know, apparently Spanish descent is acceptable in their belief system. I guess I learned that. I didn't know that. But anyway, it's just like not what you typically would think, watching a movie like American History X or something. They just didn't, like, none of the guys looked like that. So just thought that was kind of interesting. And since this was based on, at first I didn't know this was based on a true story. So I was like, at first I'm like, come on, did they Hollywood this and be like, oh, we have to be all inclusive with the casting? And it's like, dude, you don't have to be inclusive in this kind of casting. These are like white power guys, like cast white guys. It's okay to cast white people. But then when I learned it's based on history, it's like, well, there must have been people that looked like that. I'm sure they modeled it after these people because it's historical. So anyway, there's this interesting thing that happens that's a kind of runner through the movie where Jude Law, like, it starts, they go to try to like catch him in a robbery. They're too late, so the guys are kind of taking off from the robbery already while Jude Law and the cops are getting there, and he's trying to shoot at one of the cars. It kind of, I think, expends all his bullets, and then like another van full of the guys drives slowly past him, and they all like stare him down. And he's just like looking back at them, kind of bewildered. And it's Nicholas Hoult, the leader, is in that van. And they look at each other and make eye contact. And that's the first moment where like they're like staring each other down and not attacking or doing anything. And then they drive off. And that kind of gets repeated later after that, or shortly after that. Jude Law goes to like this lake, this like clearing out in the wilderness near a lake. And he's like got his sights on a deer. He's got a gun. There's a deer there, and he's staring it down. And he just doesn't pull the trigger, and he just stops. And then Nicholas Hoult pans out. Nicholas Hoult is there and followed him there, and he's like pointing a gun at him, and he's got him in his sights. And then he doesn't pull the trigger, and then he actually ends up going up, and they kind of like talk and meet, but he doesn't. They don't know who like. He doesn't. Jude Law doesn't know who Nicholas Hoult is. He just thinks he's some guy that's like making small talk with him real quick. Sees him later, recognizes him, is like, oh my dude, that's that guy that was talking to me. So anyway, once they, like I said, once they kind of put two and two together with the book and see that they're like on like step 3 or 4, and the last couple of steps are like huge scale gnarly things, they really ramp up the effort to try to stop these guys. They kind of run it up the ladder and like get kind of a task force together kind of thing, and really start looking for this guy to nail him down. And because he's essentially this guy leading the charge is the one that's kind of responsible. The rest of the group has been kind of just chilling, and he's trying to like incite these this revolution. Long story short, Jude Law and the cops, FBI, whatever, track Nicholas Hoult to a motel, and they're like kind of staking it out and like waiting. They actually have this guy that they rolled earlier and turned him to help them catch him. They're out there like waiting, and they see him come out, so they just get after it and start like having this crazy shootout. And homeboy runs away. Jude Law like chases after him. Ty Sheridan follows as well, and Ty Sheridan ends up getting shot. So he gets shot like straight in the chest, like in the middle of the body. So he pretty quickly dies. Jude Law is like holding him and is like, oh, like stay with me, and immediately he like dies. So that's pretty rough. So then eventually, like days later or whatever it is, they track him to this house. They go raid the house, and he's kind of holed up in there. They find the house by talking to his wife, or like one of his wives. He's got like 2 wives and like kids with both of them. It's kind of weird, but she's like, yeah, I'll tell you where he is. He's right here, but he's not gonna you're not going to get him alive. And so they go and raid the house, and they go inside, and like he starts shooting through the floor. There's like blasts a bunch of them, so they kind of like all disperse and run back out. And they're like, okay, this is like a crazy standoff, so we got to do something. So they gas the house. They set it on fire, and he's got a gas mask. He like goes and lays in the bathtub full of water with the gas mask on. I thought because of that he was gonna like survive that, and there's gonna be some crazy stuff after that. But he just dies in the house because after that they just move on to the next scene where he's dead. I mean, you don't see him dead, but it's obvious in the story that the guy died. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the gas mask and bathtub, I don't know what that was about. And then the movie ends with Jude Law going out to the wilderness again, sees the deer again, puts the deer in his sights with the gun, and before you can see if he's going to pull the trigger or not this time, the movie ends. So, sure, there's some symbolism with that being the runner through the whole movie, happening several times. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. Don't come here for incredible insight on stuff like that from me. I'm just a dude. But I don't know. It could have had something to do with just the whole pursuit, and it's not about the kill, it's about the pursuit, and I don't know, whatever, something like that. I think it's ambiguously, I think it's intentionally, for you to interpret the way that you want, but who knows? I'm a dum-dum. So overall, like I said, it was good. I enjoyed the movie. I gave this an 8.4. It was great cinematography, really awesome shots, especially some of the stuff out in the nature scenes where he's out in the by the lake and stuff, and just some really artful, nice shots throughout the movie. The score was a little sparse, but was good and effective throughout the movie. Great acting, great actors. All the actors were really good. Jude Law kills it. Journey Smollett is an excellent actor, I think. Ty Sheridan was good. Nicholas Hoult, he's good, but he's not. I'm not sold on that guy as being great. There's something about him that I'm kind of he's just whatever. He's good. He's a good actor, but it's just I don't know. He's not a upper echelon actor for me. And there are some slower scenes, uneventful scenes, but there aren't many of them that drag on. They kind of get to the point, even when it's a slower down moment, uneventful scene going on, it's kind of we're showing this for a reason, you need this information or this part of the story, and then boom, we got it, now on to the next thing. So they kind of get on with it and don't drag things on, so it doesn't really feel slow, even though there are slower moments and not a whole lot of action throughout the entire thing. There are moments of action though, so I thought the pacing was pretty good, and it was enough to keep you engaged and wanting to continue watching and not get bored and pick up your phone and stuff. So yeah, 8.4, pretty good. So that's it for my review of The Order. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please like the video, and please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Let me know what you want to see me cover next. Stay tuned. Until next time.